Well, it is the 10th day of the first month of the year 2024, and it is our first episode of Wellness Wednesday. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building with my good friend Edward J. Brown and Miss Shauna Sias. Happy New Year's to everybody. We're back. We back. We back. That's all I got to say about that.
What's going on?
Good evening, everybody.
My lady, Brother Dupree.
What's happening?
Why can't we see you on the camera, man?
I don't know.
There we go.
There he goes.
There he is. There he is.
I knew it was something going on. So
Man,
I'm in the building. Listen, we are streaming on multiple platforms. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook, and we are also streaming on our podcast platform of Anchor, which actually just broadcasts us out to everybody. You can catch us now through Anchor on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Apple Podcasts. You can catch us everywhere. So you can hear you can hear the verbal. You won't get to see the video unless you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, but you can definitely hear the verbal because we do give great information because it is Wellness Wednesday and your mental health matters. A healthy you is a better you. Before we even get into the show, I want to take time out and thank everybody who is really my real friends. You know, I have been dealing with some stuff where, as they say, you can separate the wheat from the chaff, and you can separate it real quick and easy and find out who is really with you and who really ain't with you, you know. And I'm thankful for my real friends. And for those who have maybe revealed to me some things that wasn't very tasteful,
I'm thankful for them too.
I'm glad for the revelation. I'm glad for the revelation.
Absolutely.
I'm glad for the revelation.
Absolutely.
And let me hit you something I listen to every morning when I wake up now. I listen to Tupac because I got to remind myself I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. You know, I'm going to say this not to get spiritual or to sound like a preacher, which I'm not. But I'm going to say this clearly. Just like Joseph, sometimes you gotta be done wrong to be done right and get to the right place. You know, everybody wants to get to the palace, but they don't want to go through the process of the pain of getting there because you will be thrown in the pit. You will be lied on in Potiphar's house. You will be thrown into jail, and people who were in jail with you that you showed them love and helped them out and helped them get out of jail. Once they get out of jail, they'll forget that you were ever in jail. But all the pain is a part of the process to get you to the palace and to get you on the throne. So
we're about to have a good time.
That is actually something that my best friend Nina Irving Williams put in the curriculum, that she absolutely stresses that sometimes it's difficult to really receive what certain people who you may have considered a friend did to you, right? But at all times, you must remember how it feels. And I've struggled with that a lot in my past. I think overly caring led to my health issues, but I'm very grateful to her because she has taught me that you can be a friend, but you get the disappointment when you expect your friendship from someone else.
Yeah, you can't look for you in other people.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. But do not stop this. And this is what I'm still working on, good Lord. I'm still working on it. Don't stop, Joe, being that kind of friend.
That is who you are.
Correct.
That is who you are.
So even though they did not do as you thought they would, that shows
you would have done. They didn't do what you would have done.
Right.
You need to see who people are, not what you would like them to be. See the truth for what people show it for you and take it.
Right. Hey, Maya Angelou said it. My Angelou said it best. When people show you who they are, So let me go through what I call the laundry list where people can understand why we do what we do and where we doing it at. Right now, you can go to YouTube to Joe Dupree on YouTube, and you will catch the show. You can be on 100 BLK, the Black Station. You can go to our Facebook page, which is 100 BLK, and you can go now to Instagram at the JDMS. At the JDMS, we are live on Instagram. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the first time I did the Instagram thing. We're going to be also going live on Twitter. We're going to switch out Instagram for Twitter and Twitter for Instagram for time's sake. And of course, we are on Anchor, and you can just look up. Let me see, what is it under on Anchor? I'll give you all that. So we're here because Mr. Edward J. Brown, who is the owner of Positive Choices Counseling Service, has committed to let people understand that we will talk. We've been talking for over 4 years. It's over 4 years.
On 4 years, yep.
Right.
Going on 4 years.
Over 4 years, we have been talking about mental health issues. I know it's not popular. I know this ain't Shay Shay. This ain't Shay Shay and Cat Williams. Okay. Hey, now I got some stuff in the bag we ain't gonna talk about, but let's just say this. This show is really because we understand that statistics, numbers, I lie, other folk lie. Some folk exaggerate. I exaggerate. Sometimes we don't tell the truth. We're human. We make mistakes, but numbers never lie. And suicide and mental health problems are at an all-time high in communities of color.
Absolutely.
So folk that look like you and I that might be smiling every day are contemplating suicide. They're contemplating they're schizophrenic. They're lost. There's many things.
They're suffering without help. They're suffering
depressed. Right. Now, Miss Shauna Sias is here because you know how we are as adults. Can you imagine what's going on with the children? And she has always been an advocate for the children. So she and I had a conversation. We had tried for years to come together, but God allowed us to come together here. We will be coming together on some other projects too, to be soon announced. But at the end of the day, we make the trifecta of Wellness Wednesday because let me say this again, your mental health matters. And a healthy you is a better you holistically. You can't only be physically healthy, you got to be mentally healthy. And a lot of people don't know we put it in that order when it should be in the other order, because normally your mentals connotate how you are in your physical. A lot of folks don't know your disease is really a dis-ease in your mind that has now manifested in your body. So without any further ado, I'm on first. Let Shauna say what she got to say, and then we're gonna pass it over to my brother Edward. So Shauna, is yours.
The first lady.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to our first show in the new year. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Brother Joe Dupree said a few minutes ago, but I'm just gonna make a slight clarification that it's not that it shouldn't be the other way around. It is. We just continue to ignore. The mind is what regulates every single aspect of your health as you think it, whether it be your blood pressure, your thirst mechanism, your ability to respond, to not respond, hunger. All of those things is regulated in the mind, in addition to emotions and how to absorb and respond to things. So while everyone was out making great New Year's resolutions, I'm going to actually challenge every person that is watching now and every person that may tune in. Let's not just make resolutions. Resolutions, the root word is resolve, and usually it's because of something that is not yet finished, something you're still bringing on in from the previous year that you want to do better. How about in 2024, we make some absolutions? Let us absolutely go and see about our mental health. Let us absolutely go and sit down with someone, and whether you think you have a problem or not, sometimes your reactions to things comes from unresolved issues in childhood, or maybe even in your present life. You cannot help and diagnose your own self. And I'm telling you this as someone who has had their mind affected from strokes. You absolutely have to tend to your mental health in this good year moving forward. So let's stop with the just having resolutions. Let's get some absolutions about this year going forward.
I love it. I love it.
Brother Edward J. Brown, Positive Choices Counseling Service, my good professor at the Alcorn State University, and a good man that graduated from the Southern University, and just a good brother overall. Nothing but love for this good alpha man that is on here right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Edward J. Brown, my friend.
I'm so excited to be here this year, because this year is going to be so many great things done. And listening to Sister Sias and Brother Joe, and like you were talking about the resolutions, and we can give a whole week-long workshop on psychoanalytic theory by Freud, but in 10 words or less, Freud said, if you're having any problems, it's as a result of unresolved issues. That's what it is. But what I thought about this year, and what I found myself dealing with towards the end of the year, and when I sat down in the beginning and started to reflect on how did I want this year to be different / better, to improve. And it was so revealed to me in our little pre-show conversation, Brother Dupree. And you know what I basically decided? I'm going to get out of people's way.
Camille, you ready?
You know, I'm going to get out of people's way and let them be what they want to be. We find ourselves so often trying to fight people to correct misinformation they may have and things they think that's not actually correct, or it's not. We make a commitment to do right by others, individuals like the three of us and a lot of other people. But there are those people, and like you were talking about earlier, they reveal themselves to you in times of crisis, in times of lopsidedness. You may say, well, you know, this, that, and the other. Well, social media said, oh, okay. And how much energy and effort do the three of us put into saying, no, this, that, and the other, and we actually go back and forth with people who want to accept misinformation? Imagine if we used all of that energy for something else.
That part.
Think about that. Let's think about if you had 30 minutes times 10 people trying to correct their misinformation. Because don't get me wrong, there's going to be those people that come with misinformation, and when you say, no, it's not quite like that, this, that, and the other, because I know, oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. But then it's those people who want to hold on to misinformation.
Come on, speak on it.
We have to not give that much energy, the amount of energy we gave last year to those type of individuals was too much. It was just too much. That would be like us getting on here every Wednesday and scream and holler to the top of our lungs that today is Tuesday. Now, somebody called and said, well, you know, for clarity, today's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. And we want to spend an hour talking about how we know it's Tuesday. Too often, like we talk about resolutions and people who reveal who they really are to us, trying to let them know it would be much better if you were more like this. Now, as counselors, and now this is where you say, well, that doesn't sound very, very theoretical, and that doesn't sound very clinical. The first rule of counseling and therapy, and in anything, the first rule of solving a problem is you must admit that there is a problem.
Come on,
Yes, sir.
speak on that. Speak on that.
If you don't come in and tell me, and we both agree that this is problematic, then what are we doing?
Right.
Okay. So now here we are in 2024. And Brother Dupree, you will sit there with somebody and say, I was at point A.
Come on.
And they pull up some pictures of you 3 years ago
Right.
and tell you, well, hey, look at here now. That ain't right. You know what? Okay. I think we have to get to the point in society, in our own personal lives, where we got to get out of people's way if that's what they want.
Right.
I would love nothing better than for you to work towards self-actualization and be the best person you can be.
Come on.
But if that means I have to carry your misinformation, or I have to carry the illogical and just the irrational thoughts that you possess, then we may not be able to travel that far together. Because you get to the point in life, like you said, when hard times come, people who are in your corner will be in your corner. Now, guess what? They may not be able to do anything, even if they just stand there.
Correct. Correct.
Sometimes it feels good just to look over and see them.
Right. Right.
I don't need you to say nothing. People ask me as a grief therapist, people say, well, I don't always know what to say to people when they lose a loved one. Sometimes you don't need to say anything.
Mhm.
Correct. Correct. That
My
part.
condolences. How about that?
Right.
And that's all.
Right.
But my, and I don't do resolutions, but my commitment this year was to not spend unnecessary energy and effort trying to get people to get out of their own way.
Come on.
Now,
That's what
that
I'm
may
talking
sound
about.
like just a contradiction to therapy and counseling, but it's not. Because like I said, in order to solve a problem, we both have to admit that there is a problem.
Come on. That part. Listen. There's two things that in my 56 years of being on this planet, headed toward 57, that I have discovered. Sometimes saying a lot speaks volumes, and sometimes silence speaks volumes. At the end of the day, I always tell folk this: regardless of what you say or do, there's two people who know the truth.
Mhm.
You know the truth, and God know the truth. So in your heart, you know why you did or said whatever it is that you said. You know your intentions. You know why you did what you did, and he knows why you did what you did. Everybody else can speculate, because at the end of the day, it is speculation, because the only two people who really know the truth is you and him. That's why tonight I wanted to talk about starting off this new year.
Yeah.
And that we are 20 minutes into the podcast. And I'm telling you now, we're going to go into overdrive. We're going to go into overtime. This
It's gonna be a good
podcast,
year, man.
this podcast is going to probably go maybe about an hour 15, maybe an hour 30 minutes, because this is important. So many times we talk about winning, but very few times we talk about losing, and how not to deal with and how to cope with losing, not loss. Not now we have different levels of loss. You know, you have the loss of a loved one, but just losing in
We have
everyday life, like
LOSS and
right.
LOST. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So, for example, I can give you some of my losses. You know, in the last 30 days, my whole life has changed. Dynamics have changed. I was, and we're going to take all the malarkey out of it. I'm not going to call it BS, because there might be some kids listening, but we're going to take all the malarkey out of it, all the crap out of it. You know, I had a person call me, and I almost called you, my brother. I had a person call me, and the first thing they said was, well, you were all caught up in that title and blah, blah, blah. I was like, whoa, stop. Folk do that. And I ain't saying folk don't do that. And I ain't going to hold it. And I ain't going to say in my younger days, I wasn't happy to be in a certain position with a certain title. But at 56 years old, every move I make is for the betterment of my community and the betterment of my family. Hold it. Let me reverse that, because I gave it in the wrong order. for the betterment of my family and the betterment of my community. Because here's what I have discovered, and I keep hearing this in my spirit. This might be for somebody. First of all, in life, you got to understand it's just like being on an airplane. Should turbulence break loose and pressurization all of a sudden get crazy,
the other day,
you got to put your mask on first. See, too many times in my life, I tried to put everybody else's mask on and negated my mask. Okay, that's not a y'all problem. That's a Joe problem. Now, here comes the number 2 Joe problem. Why I wind up losing sometimes. And here's how and now I got to talk to folks about how do you cope with losing. A lot of times you don't read the fine print carefully. Sometimes you do not read the fine print carefully, because had you have read the fine print carefully, you may not have assigned that contract, which comes down to number 3 for many a times why I lose. Now, I can only speak about me. When you can't negotiate, come up off a little bit of that money that you're trying to hold on to and pay somebody to negotiate for you. Because watch this, you don't know everything. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm looking at the man on the podcast, and I'm telling folks, you don't know everything. So when you negate everything I just said and you lose,
how do you cope with losing?
Now you got to cope with the loss, and you got to cope with everything that comes with the loss. Because then you come out with the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and everything else that comes with losing. Then depression kicks in. Because watch this. Not only did I lose, but I lost a substantial amount of income that was coming into my household. Because I didn't go from here to, oh, we're going to move you somewhere else and there might be a price. And no, I went from literally here to zero. Zero. Absolutely no income coming into that space that X amount of dollars was coming into. And you got to deal with this. So, and watch this. The reason I'm giving y'all my testimony is in no shape, form, or fashion to belittle anybody, to badger anybody. My loss is my loss, and my loss is on me. Once again, I didn't read the fine print. I didn't negotiate the way I should have negotiated. And when I figured out that, man, I should have got somebody else to negotiate, it was too late. And I was too busy putting everybody else oxygen mask on and negated to put on mine. Now everybody else living and I'm dead. Now here's the good thing about death. And I'm going to turn it over to Ed, because we got to talk about this losing.
Yeah, we do.
Not to compare it to anybody, especially the person I'm going to compare it to right now. Because, coming up in theaters in a couple of days is going to be the Book of Clarence. I highly suggest y'all go see that. Y'all going to love it.
Okay.
But when you die, people will roll the stone, put a guard there to make sure that you don't come out, even though you dead. But see, just understand, all of this from a biblical and a spiritual perspective can happen. That the stone can get rolled back. You can be resurrected. Just remember, the way you went in, you cannot come out. Just like Moses. When Moses went to the mountaintop, he didn't come back the same Moses. So sometimes you need things to happen for revelation, the light of revelation to be shined on your life. To understand this, I always post this on social media. I was getting ready, and I'm going to share this because I shared it with Sister Shauna. I was getting ready to stay off of social media. I was so wounded and hurt from loss, from losing. I was going to stay off of the enemy, the devil. And watch this. Here's how you know the devil is operating. Anytime the devil say, your gift ain't good enough. Your gift ain't good enough. Buddy. You need to go ahead and throw that gift in the trash can. They really no. But then I realized there are people who love my little morning inspirations that I post on there.
That's right.
One of them that I posted.
Exactly.
One of them that I remember posting very clearly is that where I said, you have to understand this. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of losing with folk who want me to lose. I'm scared of winning with the wrong folk around me. So I'm glad that this loss happened, because this loss revealed to me who I will sit at my table to eat with me and who will never sit at my table again. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to my two favorite folk, Sister Sias and Brother Brown. Y'all can take it from here. I'll be over here in the corner doing my technical thing.
Sister Sias, you look like you about to explode. Go on, get that out of
Man,
you.
I have learned to listen
Mhm.
more attentively in this good new year. And Brother Joe, to answer your question, sir, how do you deal with loss? It has layers. I can, and you and I have had extensive conversations over these past couple of weeks, and we know exactly a lot of revelations, right? People showed us crayon colors that we didn't even think existed that were actually in the box, but they're just new colors, right? We can't, I can't, you and I cannot continue to force ourselves or attempt to be somewhere where we are not welcomed nor wanted or invited. That's something that we teach our children in curriculum. Sometimes, yes, it hurts. Yes, it hurts when people don't invite you to the lunch table to eat with them. Yes, it hurts that they tell the other people not to invite you to the lunch table as well. But after you have said how you feel, now you just need to focus on being okay sitting at the lunch table by yourself. And sometimes if you in the first few days it'll be difficult, first few times it'll feel lonely, but after a while you gonna figure out that you a pretty cool person to be around, and you like being around yourself,
You're gonna
and then
accept
people
that.
will then become so comfortable with your comfort
You accept
that
that.
they want to come sit at your table.
Why are you sitting there smiling by yourself? What's going on?
Yeah. If you keep trying to make, and that's what I had, Shauna Sias had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer try to make people see what I want them to see. Mm-hmm. If you see it, it's because you're looking. Mm-hmm. And because everything we do is always done with integrity, loyalty, morals, principles, we don't worry about that. Yeah. But those people that worry about the backlash or what others will say from even associating with you, those are the people that are truly threatened by your gifts, sir, and ma'am, for myself. So, like Cat Williams said, a hater's job is to hate. Let them do their job. Who is that in your job description? Yeah. Focus on your own test paper.
You know, we get to the point now where we're talking about loss. So I'm gonna just jump right in to the clinical side of it. What we're talking about is actually feeling. How do I feel about what happened? Because you did not go into any endeavor, any situation, be it a relationship, a job, or a task, or whatever, expecting to fail. That was not the intent. So now that it did not turn out the way I expected it to, there's some feelings involved. And I know I'm speaking directly to my brother, that I feel a certain way. The one thing I cannot allow you to go on feeling or connecting your feelings to is anyone outside of yourself. You cannot connect your feelings to anyone but you. So when you look at this situation, you say, now, this did not turn out the way I thought it was. You can't look around and see who's looking. You can't look around and wondering what other people thinking. I need you to focus on what you're feeling. All right, that's what you got to focus on, because what people will do, and this is where we're getting real clinical. What people will do is if they find out you care about what they think about your failure, they will use it as a tool.
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
They
Come
will
on
use
here.
it as a tool. They'll say, this might be my opportunity to give him a low blow from that time where he only gave me one piece of chicken instead of 2 pieces of chicken back in the day.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So what you have to do is you take that away, because you take that moment by yourself and say, okay, I feel kind of disappointed. I feel sad. However, okay, you notice how you're embracing those feelings. I failed. This did not go the way I thought it went. Now let's line up all the variables. Did I do my best job? Yeah. Was the outcome solely a result of my doing? Probably not. So now that okay, I did my best, it didn't turn out, but yeah, it failed. Okay, so now I gotta think. I got to think about this. I got to reframe it. That's what we call it in the clinical setting. I have to reframe this. And unfortunately, we are not in a position on this earth. I don't care what you believe. You know, they say, well, nobody is ever 100% in charge of their own outcomes. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's take Mr. Bill Gates, one of the richest men around, and he shouldn't have no problems. Let us stop buying his stuff. So his success is directly related to how much we support him. Okay, it's not solely about him. We can have the best idea in the world. If nobody supports it, it's just an idea. So I want you to understand, we got to look at loss at what it is. It's an outcome that was not desirable. It was not intended. But brother, I know you. I know your work ethic. I know the way you think when you get an idea and jump into a situation that involves your expertise. You are all in type brother. But when there's other people involved in that scenario, we are subjected to their little input. You ever heard the story, the little parable, you don't mess with another person's pot when they're cooking? You know what I mean? You don't go and add no little sprinkle or nothing in mama pot. Okay? You are not in a situation like that. But when we lose, directly embrace that feeling that you have. Now, you know, as an old athlete,
come on,
I hear people talk about, as an athlete, you got to have a short memory.
Come on.
Because if you get hit for a 60-yard touchdown, you still got to go back out there and play.
That's it. Game not over till it's over.
Game not over. So here you are in a situation that didn't turn out the way you thought. So embrace those feelings.
Come on.
This is how I feel. And when you look around, what I would say to you is, what you looking around for? Well, how many people saw I feel? Who give a damn? Man, pay attention. You know, pay attention.
Right.
How do you feel? I feel like it could have went. Did you have any control over that? No. Did you have control over that? Yeah. So how you going to do it different next time?
Come on.
Well, next time I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Now, you notice as you start to look for, as my sister said earlier, you start to look for resolution, you don't have time to worry.
Right.
You understand? We're trying to resolve this and figure out there was an old t-shirt that said, we don't lose, we learn.
Come on.
There's some truth to that.
So hold on. Now I got to go solo mode for a second.
All right, come on.
My brother said something that was very, 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 very on point. And family, I want you to take this and think about yourself, because I'm pretty sure out of all the viewers that we got on here, we've had some folks who have lost, at no fault of their own. They have been casualties of a war they did not even start. They have been victims of situations that they had absolutely no control over. So and listen, the reason I wanted to talk about this is we always talk about the winners. We always talk about when they're winning, but we seldom talk about what process do you go through in your own self-grieving And how do you restore yourself when you have lost, regardless of what it is? Some of you have lost jobs. Some of you have lost relationships. Some of you have lost friendships. Some of you have lost things that you said, I thought I would never lose that. I would never lose that. But guess what? Situations and circumstances, life be life, and things come around, and all of a sudden you're on the losing side, of whatever. And how do you deal with the loss? Because listen, I know how we deal with the wins. We go out and celebrate. We go out and eat, and we make jolly posts, and we show pictures, but how do we deal? How do we see? Because here's what I did. Let's talk about it. I'm getting ready to bring you in, Shauna. You next. Here's what I did. And I want folks to understand, I believe what I did was for the best for me.
There you go.
But on December the 22nd, 2023, I kind of had a feeling, because it was in my spirit, you need to pull off this thing called social media, and you need to spend time with God, your family, and yourself. So I put up a post. I put up a post saying, hey, from the 23rd until the 10th, which is today, I'm not posting anything. I'm not being on this mechanism called social media. And during that time, I was actually studying, getting things ready for this podcast, getting myself in a place where I knew that regardless of what happened, the sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar tomorrow there will be sun. So regardless of what happened, the world keep turning. On the 22nd, I made the proclamation that I was stepping off of social media. On the 26th, I got a phone call from my former employer saying that my services were no longer needed because we had a new administration coming in. And listen, I highly respect that. Let me say that to the world. So folk won't be out there trying to put words in my mouth. I highly respect that I was on a team. Now, a lot of people didn't understand my position on the team. My position on the team was to serve the people and to serve the chair of who sit in the chair. My job wasn't to serve the mayor president because of his name. I was serving whoever sat in that chair, but that's neither here nor there. They decided to go in another direction. They said they didn't want to have a chief of minority affairs, and that was their prerogative because the people had spoken and elected the person in. So she had a right to bring in who she wanted to do whatever she felt like, because these next 4 years is her 4 years. And I respect that. I have publicly went on social media, thank my the individual former Mayor President Josh Guillory for giving me the opportunity to serve this great parish and these great people who live here. I wish nothing but the best to the new administration, because if they win, we win, everybody wins. I don't need a position or a title to help people. I was helping people long before I became the chief of minority affairs, and I will be helping people long after. I don't need none of that. My voice will be heard. Brother Edward knows this platform right here. That's why we can go longer than other folks. We don't have to worry about getting cut off or somebody saying your time is up. I pay for this platform. Even right now, with $0 coming into my house, I'm making sure this platform stays up, because I want to have a position and a place for the people where they have a voice for the voiceless, where folks who feel like, they're not concerned. We can sensationalize a lot of stuff. People, talking about mental health and mental health issues ain't easy. But there are somebody out there who needs to hear this, because it is their salvation to know that I will not commit suicide tonight. I will not, because I feel the whole world has turned its back on me. I will not put a gun to my head and say bye, bye, bye. I have an outlet, and I have a person who I can call. That's why the number scrolls at the bottom. Should you be in dire need of any type of counseling or mental health services, call that number. Someone will get in contact with you. And I always ask Shauna, because I'm getting ready to transfer it over to Shauna, I always put up the National Suicide Hotline. I always post it in here where folks will know, if you thinking about suicide, you thinking that you about to do something that is irreversible. Two things that once it's gone, it's gone. That is life and time. And I have learned to value both in a way like no other. So with that being said, Sister Shauna Sias.
I absolutely love how you put it. Thank you for sharing your feelings with us. I know that that is not an easy thing to do, and oftentimes when people are going through loss or of any kind, all they want sometimes is acknowledgement of their feelings. So I hear you, but you ask, how do you get through loss? And as you know, I kind of play the conversations that you and I have had over these past few days. And as I recall conversations I've had with best friend and just good old living in general, I think that I have finally realized where we're falling a tad short. We're trying to, you pose the question, how do you deal with the loss? How do you navigate through the loss? Well, I think that's where we're messing up. That's why we have trained professionals to help us through the loss. What the person needs to focus on is the lesson in the loss. Mm-hmm. That's where we're missing it. We want to figure out, why did we lose, what we did. That's why they are clinical professionals, licensed clinical social workers. That's why there's grief counseling. A loss, I don't care what it is still grief. If it was important to you, that is a loss, and it still should be treated as such. But because we have such a negative connotation and a bad taste about mental health, we don't want to look crazy. We would rather go crazy trying to look sane.
Ooh, wait! Now give me a ding on that one. We would rather
go crazy.
Hold on.
Trying to look sane. So you pose the question, and finally I have an answer. Not only for you, but for me, because you and I got the same similar type problem.
So Shauna, I want you to slowly say that one more time for the folk in the back. Mm-hmm. Say what you said. Now that's a phrase for you right there.
Yeah, we got to keep that one.
Now, child, I hope y'all remember.
Okay.
We trying to go crazy. We going crazy, trying to look sane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, you don't want nobody to think you crazy, but oh wow, you're having absolute need for mental health. So you posed the question, and now I have an answer, not just for you, but for me.
Right.
And for anyone else.
Right.
Who might
and listen, and that's why we do what we do. We're going to be doing some other things coming up in this year that will be, which I'm probably going to laugh when I look at the analytics later. I'm going to say, you know what? One of our main problems is we love mess. You know, we love mess. And as long as we love mess on whatever level it is, it's going to be hard for us to get to that utopia we're trying to get to. We're about to be on the cusp of a celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Dr. King had a dream. He gave a speech. But understand this, we have to take some of the lessons learned in the losses during that movement, because if we don't learn the lesson from the loss, we are destined to repeat it again. You know, I'm not coming in here trying to give you a bunch of catchphrases. I, in my own right, have a way I do things and say things, you know, and people who know me, that's what they like about me. I have my own little thing. Now, sometimes I'm duplicated, sometimes I'm imitated, but there's only one and will only be one Joe Dupree, period. Just like Sister Shauna, Miss Sister Shauna, she has a style that is charisma, it's catchy, it's energy, it's a lot of stuff. You know, Brother Edward has his style. This is my brother. How do I know this my brother? I can tell you, I done laid underneath his roof. This my brother. That's no ifs, and buts, or maybe. See, I'm starting to understand. My problem was I was seeking friends when I should have been looking for brothers and sisters.
Correct.
See,
yep. It's a good point.
No, Brother Joe, you were seeking you.
And guess what? And you will not.
And other
and guess what? Other folk, listen to me. If you're out there dealing with this, Stop expecting you from other folks that not you. Other folks cannot and will not be you because there's only one you. So just say this. You know, they say birds of a feather flock together. All right. Start understanding and start looking your good self in the mirror in the morning, because I'm starting to do this now. This is a part of my regimen. And start asking yourself why certain folk are in your life. And if you can't answer, answer that question, start asking yourself.
Some bangers today, I'm telling you.
Listen, you got to start asking the question, why are certain folk in your life? Because guess what? Some folk have put on a mask of I'm with you, I'm your friend, I'm your ride or die. When the truth about it is, they're just there studying you, where they can take the best parts of you.
I said, come on.
Where they can take the best parts of you and make the best part of you look like it's the best part of them.
Yeah.
And he writes out.
Man, I got to go solo too, Shauna. Come on, Shauna. Stop that.
All I'm going to say to that is this right, Shusha. And I had to get a little ungrammatical real quick.
You always,
Louisiana. You know, we always say don't expect you out of anybody. Baby, we need to cut the sentence. That's the problem now. We talk too much. Don't expect. You stop right there. Yeah. Stop right there. If you don't expect anything, you ain't about to get disappointed. Because let me tell you, if I expected anything from anybody, I wouldn't do anything at any time. Trust me. But I don't any longer expect it. Now, do I call best friend and vent when, you know, people don't do things that or do things that hurt me or don't support me after I have been nothing but supportive to them? Of course, that's what mental health is all about. You have to have an accountability partner. But I can assure you, I also have the kind of friend that'll tell me, yes, sweetheart, Buffy, I understand, but baby, you was wrong. And that's what a lot of us are missing. We are missing somebody that's going to call us on our wrong. We're so busy building up good credit to co-sign foolishness.
Woo, ho. Now that one, y'all got to understand it. Hold it. I'm going to talk about what she just said there. Family, protect your mental health. Everybody knows me.
Your mental wealth. We're changing to your mental wealth.
Your mental wealth. So I'm PYP, but what she said right there is right. You building up credit. You're building up your character, your credit, your identity. Folks who believe and trust in you, while you got folk in your circle who watching you build your credit up to co-sign on some mess. They know they're going to just bankrupt and mess your credit all the way up. See, a lot of us are victims of not ourselves, but of other folk around us. Like for example, I today had to let somebody know I'm tired of being guilty by association. You know, so you work for so-and-so. So now you must take on all his sins or all her sins or everything they did wrong because y'all work together. You know, now we're not going to get into that on this Wellness Wednesday. We got something coming for you where we're going to get into all these good things.
Well, you know,
and Brother Joe, before I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but before I forget, that birds of a feather flock together and guilty by association, I need for us to start dissipating that. I'm gonna tell you why. As a bullying prevention specialist and as a person that has a curriculum that teaches children, sometimes, baby, in order to get somebody to do right, you have to associate with the wrong. You can't direct someone the right way if you don't go where they are. We teach in our curriculum to go and find a buddy. We actually have affirmations and projects at the end of certain curriculums where we tell them, go find somebody that has been mean to you and do something kind for them. So stop having people guilty by association because your association with that person was not mine.
You know,
we can't teach children to be kind if we keep telling them not to associate with certain people. Sometimes the person's behavior is only for lack of knowing.
you know, and to take that same ideology and bring it to another platform. We have people who are now keep in mind we're talking about the guilty by association. We have people in our lives that the only reason they're in our lives is because we fulfill a need they have. Okay, we fulfill a need they have. They like this, they like that, they like this, and they like that about us. Now, here's where it gets real tricky, and we got to pay attention. And it's almost comical. The minute you decide to not meet those needs, something wrong with you.
You better come on here.
Something is wrong with you. So as long as you meet an A, B, C, D in their life, you're the best person in the world. But the minute you say, you know what? I don't know if I really agree with that A, B, C, D anymore.
Set boundary.
Something wrong with you. See, you there's something wrong with me because now I've decided that this is not a mutually beneficial situation. And it is nothing wrong with applying those type of standards or those stipulations to relationships. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
So when we sit here talking about guilty by association, well, yeah, now this is when that becomes a problem. Okay. And I say this a lot of times. The reason we are friends is because we have the same priorities. You, your first priority, and you, my first, you know what I mean? And you're my first priority. So the fact that you're both of our first priorities is why we're friends. But the minute you don't become my first priority anymore, something's wrong with me. You know, so guilty by association is something that we have to look at, something we have to embrace, something we have to dissect. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep going back to what we talked about early in this podcast. You stay very in touch with how you feel. And then I was laughing because I was talking to a kid today, and he had never seen the old Charlie Brown Halloween special.
Oh my!
And Charlie Brown is trick-or-treating with his friends, and he's like, "What you got? Oh, I got licorice. What'd you get? Oh, I got a candy bar. What'd you get, Charlie Brown? I got a rock." You know, Charlie Brown got to the point where he was like, "I'm tired of getting rocks. I don't want to go trick-or-treating anymore."
Because y'all getting all the candy. Because y'all getting all the candy.
That's right. When your value system directly contradicts what you're involved in with another person, it's nothing wrong with you when you step away. Me and you don't have the same viewpoint of that. We don't have the same ideology about this particular thing. So instead of me remaining in this situation, I wish you well. And I hope that you wish me well, but it don't matter if you don't. I'm just
I can understand where you're coming from with that as far as adults go, right?
Correct.
But in the realm as we speak of children, we can't do that because usually a child's view of another child comes from another child.
Was popular,
right?
That's right.
Which is what bullying is. That is called social aggression, or the mean girl clique, where one person doesn't want to be outshined by another one. So we gonna tell them some ugly, dirty rumors. We gonna post some nasty IG post or something, whether they're true or not, right? So I guess I'm saying that to say this: whether adult or child, set a boundary. We covered that in our relationship module. In order to have a healthy relationship, you have to set a boundary. If not, people going to be running in and out your yard, however they want, with no regulation. Once you set boundaries, it's really where you can find out who you can hang with and who you can't hang with. But unless you find out your own do's and don'ts, You can't go around and set the do's and don'ts for someone else or take someone else's do's and don'ts. That's what I meant by guilty by association. Everybody has the right, excuse me, because I can tell you right now, I'm certain Joe has gotten flashback from me being on here. Why? Because sometimes Shauna Sias has left a bad taste in someone's mouth. And I can absolutely say that when someone is not ready to acknowledge my feelings or their toxic behaviors, sometimes it will come across as bullying. But that's because you're not acknowledging what I'm telling you. So yes, if a child is yelling, hollering, screaming, these are natural reactions of a human. Those are some response reactions, but those things should be taught to be controlled, how to tap into them, healthy ways to respond. When those things are not addressed at a certain age, which is why I try to get our curriculum into schools, you get adults that when adults like me tell you, hey, you really hurt my feelings. I don't like the way you said that. We're going to focus on how I said it, the tone I said it, the language I use as opposed to what I'm telling you, which is why children don't report half of what happens because all the teacher going to do is focus on the delivery, the tone, and the verbiage.
Correct.
So let's, as we are getting close toward the end, and we're going to go a little over, you know, the truth about it is, and not to use this as a cliche word or a cliche phrase, but in A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson said it the best. The reason folk act that way is because you can't handle the truth. You know, I have discovered, and I've been discovering this. This is not my first time being somewhere that I said, man, this is where I'm supposed to be. And all of a sudden I'm not there no more. It first started with my first love, which is radio. But here's what I come to find out. Folk can't handle the truth. And many a time.
That's why we don't give it to them most of the time.
Right. Because folk can't handle the truth. They don't want to look you in the good eye. See, because folk always want to be right. They don't want to be on the wrong side of this thing. That's why I want to talk about law. Everybody love the winner. Everybody love Michigan right now. Ain't nobody really talking to nobody in Washington. Everybody love Michigan, even though, now watch this. And Albert Einstein gave this to me because I was reading something a few days ago. Albert Einstein said, I wrote 20 equations on the board and messed one of them up. He said, nobody looked at the remember. That's the one people remember. He said, nobody looked at the 19 I got right, but everybody talked about the one that I messed up. Hey, professor, that's not the right answer. He said, I did it on purpose. He said, so you didn't even look at the 19 that I got right. All you wanted to do was talk about the one that I got wrong. So people, here's another thing. In this losing, and my brother will testify to this, and I'm going to let him and Shauna kind of carry us out. In this losing, you got to understand, you've got to pay no attention to people's opinions. I'm going to be on. I got another video podcast that y'all gonna hear me say this a lot on my other video podcast. People's opinions are like buttholes, and most buttholes stink. No matter how much you clean them, they still stink.
Yeah, everybody got one.
Right, everybody got one, and most of the times it stink. So family, your mental health matters. We are concerned about you. You can, what is that? Star or hashtag? What do you call? What's the number you call if you're having
988?
988. You call 988. Family. We just all got to do better. We just got to do better. And we need for you to do better. And we all got to do better. So with that being said, I'm gonna let Sister Shauna and brother Edward kind of close us out. Happy New Year to everybody. Listen, no matter what you're going through, get up, stand up, keep your head up. I can say this because people have told me, I have had my better half tell me over 30 times in the last 3 days, pick your head up. Like, listen,
Mm.
you need some folk that gonna tell you the fact that, you can act like everything okay, but your whole body expression and your language gonna tell everybody. So I'm thankful that I have brothers and sisters. I no longer look at the friend thing. I have brothers and sisters and people who love me who say, keep your head up. Greater is coming. Better is coming. It's
That's
gonna be
right.
some good stuff. So
Yes,
I'm
sir.
thankful for all of that. My brother Brown, Sister Shauna, it's on y'all.
I always let Brother Brown in. He gives those great tidbits
Mhm.
at the end, and make sure to give you all the number to call in case y'all have a rough time. But going out, I'll be brief. I want to first thank Best Friend. I see that she was tuned in this evening. And I do want to mention, I put in the chat opinions and what people think. I know that they say that they shouldn't matter. I need to just speak a little clarification. People's opinion that you have built a healthy relationship with matter. I have learned this because before, you couldn't tell Shauna size nothing. I'm gonna say what I said. I don't care. Nobody can tell me nothing. Someone cared enough about me to come to me and tell me, hey, look, what you're saying is true. How you feel is valid. But what you're doing, how you're doing it, isn't right. If you get somebody's opinion like that, then yes, you take that to heart. Someone that knows you, that you can trust, that has shown you, not that has told you they can be trusted, has shown you trust. Then that's the kind of feedback and constructive criticism that you take. But what they mean is, in the grand scheme of things, the only person that is responsible for your happiness is you.
Yep.
It is you. You can wake up in the morning and decide to either be happy or sad. That should
Make that decision.
never be dependent upon a job or another individual. And if you find yourself being so overly caring to the point of Shauna and to the point of Joe, then you need to step back and give that same amount of care to yourself. For every problem you fixed, give that same time and energy to yourself. It's okay. No is an answer. It is an answer, and it is one that does not require an apology. If y'all resolve and absolve to do anything in this good 2024, I need for you all to resolve and absolve to be better to yourself first. Because if you don't take care of you, starting with the mental, you won't be able to be anything to anybody else. And that's all I got.
That is a lot. That is a lot. You know, I was so excited because one, I missed you guys. We didn't do this podcast after the second week of December. So I missed you guys. And the energy that I had coming in here today was met by energy from you guys. So I love y'all. Happy New Year's. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the year holds. But when my brother said we were going to talk about loss, and this is where I'm going to be extremely brief. My brother, it's a couple of things I want to say, just two real brief things. Number one, people always say, the saying is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room. You need to find another room to be in because there'll be no growth. There'll be no progress. Number two, if you find yourself in a room, Brother Dupree, with people that haven't lost, then that means they haven't tried, and you don't need to be around those people anyway. If you're in a room of people that I don't understand what you mean, they ain't never tried nothing. So if you're in a room with folks never lost, get out of there. You don't belong in there anyway because you're a mover and a shaker. On that note, it's 2024. And it's still the only thing that we're going to keep the same is the way we close out this show. If nobody else told y'all today that they love you, we love you. Peace. We'll see y'all next week.